Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and the monthly Twitch drop store has just refreshed, so it's your opportunity to be able to get one of two tier 5 premium tanks completely for free. The Ram 2 is up for grab, and so is the very rare M485. And to help you decide which one you may want to choose, why don't we check out two epic games in the tanks. So let's take a look at the first of the two options that you will be able to pick for free by claiming Twitch drops, albeit over the next 8 or 9 weeks. The first option is the Ram 2, and our hero who's going to demonstrate what the Ram 2 is all about is called Maxician. Is this like a magician that's called Max? Possibly. Let me know in the comments down below. Maxician, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So, the Ram 2 is pretty much the main Canadian tank that you will see inside World of Tanks. I believe it was based on the M3 Lee chassis, but it was fully produced in Canada. But the Ram 2 actually never saw the kind of like tank-on-tank combat, but they were used quite a lot as armored personnel carriers, from my limited understanding of what the Ram 2 was all about. But again, any historical experts out there, let me know in the comments down below. So one thing that I do know is what the Ram 2 is all about in World of Tanks, and what Maxician is going to show you, and that is great damage per minute. The damage per minute on this vehicle is 1,965, which at tier 5 is very nice indeed. That means that you are going to be able to pick up a quick amount of damage against your opponents. However, there's one thing that does suck about the Ram 2, and that is the accuracy. 0.43 isn't really going to be very decent at long range. However, the bloom after firing of this vehicle isn't all that bad at 4, and with a fairly decent aim time of 2.29, you can nearly be fully aimed in between your shots. But still, wow, look at that shot right there on the B1. Cheeky Maxician, shutting down the tier 4 French Heavy. But this vehicle, the real problem with this tank is that its standard penetration is awful. Its standard penetration is only 105 for 75 alpha damage. And so quite often with a vehicle like this, what you have to do is spam gold. And the gold on this tank has 170 pen. So you're literally getting a 65mm upgrade. So it's like 60% extra penetration going from standard rounds to premium rounds on this tank, which does make this quite an expensive vehicle to play when you don't get into a nice matchup. But when you do, you should be able to make these standard rounds mostly work on this tank. Although you hear Maxician is quite often dabbing the 2 key, but oh my word, look at that gun handling, that's not good news. Really, this tank is best suited up close and personal against its opponent. Its armor at 76mm isn't really going to do too well, but it can be a nice grindy tank. It's inside the American tech tree, as you can hear, although I'm sure a lot of my Canadian viewers out there, I must do the most Canadian thing, which is to apologize to you for the fact that there isn't a Canadian tech tree, which is just like the Ram 2. And a few other vehicles that were kind of more Canadian versions of American tanks. But I believe this was actually kind of a novel vehicle within its own right, even though it was based upon the M3 Lee chassis. Alright, so Maxician has managed to pick up nearly 2,000 damage in the first 3 minutes of this game, really showing you what this vehicle is all about with regards to its damage output. It doesn't hit the hardest, it doesn't have the best pen on its standard rounds, but with gold, which Maxician is liberally applying to its opponents, then I guess he's kind of having to apologize for each time he's kind of paying to win in that perspective. Oh, that made me nervous. So much confidence. Maxician, I love it. That was really sketchy stuff there. About a good thing there weren't any like ladybirds around on that bridge, right? Not that we can use them as an excuse. No one would use a ladybird as an excuse as to why they can't drive in World of Tanks, right? No, I don't know anyone who would do that. So Maxician is up to 4 kills, making their way in now towards the enemy cap circle, and changing out between regular rounds and gold rounds here. Firing gold rounds at the Birch gun. Definitely should have used the intuition switch, which you've been using so lovingly all the way through this game, to be able to save a few credits there. But oh well, maybe Maxician is going for their 3rd mark of excellence on this tank, or maybe Maxician is just going for a top gun, which is also a lovely thing to be able to have. I almost feel like with a vehicle like this, with the great rate of fire, that it gives you an opportunity to, you know, roleplay Canadian and apologize after every shot. Unlike what one of the voice actors in World of Tanks, who's British, does, says, take from them everything and never apologize, like this when you enter Steel Hunter. I'm thinking, thanks Wargaming for doing us like that. Whereas a Canadian, well, I guess I could a boot to do a... Oh, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I apologize. So I'm apologizing. Well, probably Maxician would have to apologize for all of these shots as well. Oh, I'm sorry, pal. Well, I'm sorry, friend. Oh, I'm sorry, governor. Not really too Canadian to say that. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry, Canada. I apologize. Okay. I'm gonna focus back up, and that is the Maxician didn't like those 2 shots from the KV-1SA, but now they're really rubbing it in. Seriously, 3,000 damage in a tier 5 premium. That's outrageous. But if you're a good player, you will be able to easily go and get like a 3rd mark on this vehicle. It doesn't have the highest requirements. You'll be able to get some ace tankers as well. And this vehicle's also quite a rare tank, so quite often your opponents won't know about its capacity. And if you have a good American medium tank crew and you got yourself some Deadeye as well, the rapid fire gun on this tank, a lot like with the new British wheeled mediums, can quickly be able to damage your opponent's internal modules. Nothing quite like taking out their crew, their ammo rack, or their engine, locking them in place, and then being able to really go to town. And it looks like Maxician is going to try and go to town with, oh my word, a Panzer V4 has got 7 kills right now. What is the battle of the Radley Walters medals? That was anticlimactic. Well, I guess Maxician won that duel. Gosh, that is probably the only thing that sucks about playing something like a Ram 2, is that there can be, and there will be, Panzer V4s on the enemy team with that preferential matchmaking. Oh dear, Maxician! Oh my lord, that was lucky at the end that the T-28 missed, which allows Maxician to be able to pick up 8 kills. A solid performance for the Canadian Ram, and I can already hear you all starting to make your choices. What is this, some kind of camel? Pretty sure that's not very Canadian. I thoroughly recommend that for all of you who do pick this vehicle up, there is a very fetching Canadian flag style that you can put on the Ram, and I think it would be very fitting. So with the idea of putting a Canadian flag on pretty much the only Canadian tank inside the game is not your cup of tea, then maybe the M485 will be. This is the other of the 2 relatively rare premium tanks that you can be able to get your hands on. And this vehicle was available inside loot boxes from Christmas 2021. So it's been in the game for a couple of years, yet in the last 30 days on the European server, the vehicle's only been in 1,000 battles. That's crazy to think that there are tanks in the game that only get played 30 times in a single day. There are some weirdos out there that play a single tank 30 games every single day. So maybe the M485 will become less of a rarity as people start to get more and more of the tokens. So what is special about this tank? Well, it's a Sherman hull with a T-34 turret. And while it's called the T-34-85, this thing is using an 85mm with 150 pen and 160 alpha. So it's pretty much got like a tier 6 gun down at tier 5. The only problem is this vehicle doesn't have very good damage per minute, only 1,371. So if you want to be able to rip apart your opponents quickly, then you definitely want to get the Ram. This one, however, can still do very well for players who want to maybe trade more equally. And this is really good alpha damage for a tier 5 medium, when many vehicles, as we saw with the Ram, are kind of hitting for like 70 or so. So our hero today is going to be Jappa1, playing in their M485, and this game was actually from the release of the M485. That's how rare this tank is, that on what replays I had to go way back a couple of years. So if there's any kind of glitches with the replay, or you're freaking out about the outlines kind of showing through as you're going round corners, this is what the game used to be like back in the day. A lot of us have got so used to these new outlines in World of Tanks that it just doesn't really make sense even looking at a replay from even a couple of years ago now. So this is a really unusual game, because Jappa1 he's not had a bad game for a tier 5 medium, right? Dealt 1,000 damage. And one thing that I love about Jappa1's performance here is that it's not because of the amount of premium rounds they fire, because they didn't take any with this tank. It's not about using a premium consumable or spamming gold against your opponents. This is going to be as free to play as it gets. Although I would still recommend taking a few gold rounds in this tank. 196 pen is really nice for tier 5. For a tier 6 tank, that would still be good. This gun would be competitive if it was on something like a Cromwell, albeit with a better rate of fire. And let's be honest, that's why it is good, because it's pretty much the gun of a T-34-85 down at tier 5. just with a hull and the kind of mobility that it's not great. But this tank does end up going at 52 kilometers an hour. Not the best power to weight ratio. 5 degrees of gun depression might be the thing that really annoys a lot of players about this tank. Unlike the Ram, which packs 7.5 degrees of gun depression, it's a lot more competitive from that regard. So what I love about this replay is that Japa's had like an okay game so far, but they are going to make these last 37 hit points of their vehicle truly work. Unlike the gun handling on this tank, oh my goodness, did you see that? This has got 0.24 when moving, 0.24 when turning, and 0.16 dispersion when you're turning the turret. That is some horrible statistics. So while this vehicle does hit hard, it's not going to be hitting often, and it's not going to be the kind of tank where you're going to be able to quickly react to an adapting situation. This is the tank for planning ahead, for having a more methodical approach, or for just getting some like coated optics or binoculars on this tank and kind of playing it as a mid-line support. If you do that on this vehicle, you'll also be successful. Okay, so Japa 1 is now going to be making their way back towards the base, and they're going to spot a Panzer IIIJ that's inside the cap. They actually miss, and now they've only got 13 seconds left to be able to get another interrupt, but they're going to come around the corner, miss again. Now they've only got 8 seconds. Come on, Japa, you can get it. Get this Electo right there, right now, buddy. Yes, perfect. Okay, 45 base defense points against the Electo, giving their team a moment of respite. Finishing off the Electo, destroying Rommel's love child. That's a great name, and that's not an anonymized name. I can tell because they're inside a clan. Okay, that definitely put me off my commentary. Well, defending the streets of Berlin against Rommel's love child. Something that I never thought that I would say inside World of Tanks, but it's definitely the case here. Gosh, I love you, World of Tanks community, and all the names you come up with. Okay, so somebody finally interrupts the Panzer IIIJ. It looks like it's an 82 on Japa's team to be able to save the cap circle. And I told you that Japa 1 was going to make good use of these 37 last hit points. So much so that the Panzer IIIJ is starting to fire HE here at the side of the M485 to be able to shut them down. Gosh, that aim time is horrendous. You might even want to take an aiming device on this vehicle to improve its rather poor accuracy. And Japa really doesn't want to stay in the line of fire against the Su-76 for very long. They managed to avoid a shell, come around the corner, get a good shot in, and boy does this tank hit hard with that 160 average alpha damage. Although considering the last 4 shells have been a low roll, doesn't quite look like Japa is getting all of the luck that we saw from our hero yesterday of Redline RNG, right? Okay, so finally, Japa finishes off an epic cap defense. It's almost like they stop there, have a moment to shake it off, and then realize that the battle is not even nearly done. Even with that epic defense and 2,100 damage dealt, Japa still has to deal with nearly 1,900 hit points on the enemy team, and still 6 vehicles as they are outnumbered. But when you've got an 85mm at tier 5, never outgunned. It's crazy to think that this gun also used to be on that tank that Japa just shut down, the T-28. So much so that Wargaming had to actually remove the gun from the vehicle as Japa uses it to finish off a Lux now. It's not looking good for that. I've got to stop this. Okay, I've got to keep a straight face. Okay, what I'm trying to suggest is that the T-28 used to actually have this gun with its 160 alpha damage at tier 4. Wargaming realized it was OP, removed it, and then they brought it back as a premium tank at tier 4. And that premium tank at tier 4 has an outrageous win ratio. And while the M485 doesn't exactly have the best win ratio, it's not a joke. It's not a joke of the battlefield. And I think this one might be really surprising against your opponents. They might look at, what's an M485? How do I play against that? And you can literally destroy equal tier tanks in 4 shots with this vehicle. So again, if you have that calm, methodical approach, and you're not kind of just relying on the raw firepower of the vehicle, at least with firing multiple rounds against your opponents, this thing can actually really surprise people. And we can see its armor inside a matchup like this is working out okay. Oh, Japa, are you ever not going to low roll a shell? You're definitely not getting the luck of the Irish here. But luckily, a steady hand allows Japa to finish off Intel Pentium G2. I have no idea why the names are so good right now. Rommel's love child and the Intel Pentium G2. This is just fantastic. I don't even think that's an anonymized name. All right, stay on focus, or stay focused. QuickyBabs, as now Jappa has one shot to finish off the Hetzer, and there you go. Shutting down another vehicle, picking up 6 kills now in this game. But the battle is not done, as it looks like an 82 is locked in mortal combat with yet another T28 and an M10 RBFM. So Jappa now needs to make their way back towards the cap circle to protect it against the French invasion with a little bit of Soviet reinforcement of the T28 from the side. So Jappa gets a big shot in against the M10 RBFM, finishes them off with the second shell, now picking up 7 frags in this game, destroying nearly half of the enemy team. Can Jappa go and pick up one of the real epic medals inside World of Tanks, which will be a Radley Walters medal for picking up their 8th kill? Well, remains to be seen. Jappa can't quite decide whether he wants to auto-aim right now, as he puts in 157 and then lets the auto-aim get the Radley Walters medal, finishing off the T28. And wow, Jappa stops in amazement at what an epic game of free-to-play World of Tanks. Not a single premium round fired. Doesn't even paint the hull, which I think you should, really, to be able to get that extra camo bonus. No premium consumables used. That is what World of Tanks free-to-play is all about. So 2 very different tanks. 2 very different playstyles. 2 similar results, at least with regards apart from the income. And a choice that you will have to make as to which vehicle you want to pick up this month. So if you already have these vehicles, or maybe just tier 5 premium is not your cup of tea, there's also the opportunity to get 2 unique styles that you might have missed out on. There is the, oh god, I'm going to ruin this word, Igelschnauschen style, which is available for the Guerrilla. So if you like German sniping at tier 10, then this might be a very fetching style for you. This has previously been exclusive in paid loot boxes. Or alternatively, there is the Frechen style, which is very fetching on a Borsig, which again I think has been a premium shop exclusive up until this point. And if you already have all of these things, well, you can spend your tokens on 5 times experience games, extra days of premium, or 3 hours of the all-important 200% extra free experience and crew training, so you can try and grind that free experience for that next vehicle, or alternatively to keep up with Wargaming's assembly shop shenanigans. So how exactly can you get your hands on these goodies? Well, Wargaming have really simplified it this time round. After 3 hours of watching either on a Monday or Tuesday, or 3 hours of watching on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you ought to get yourself 7 tokens and an additional 8 tokens, making 15 tokens total per week from watching my stream alone. You wouldn't even have to log in or play the game, and you could still get one of these awesome rewards. However, if you're an active player, you can get 3 additional tokens from playing missions in game, and you can get 3 additional tokens if you have a premium account, meaning that you can get 21 tokens each week, meaning that you can get one of these epic rewards after only 5 of the 9 weeks of watching. And I'll put a whole detailed guide down below in the description if you need some more help about linking up your accounts to be able to earn drops while watching my stream. And so I'm looking forward to welcoming you every Monday and every Friday for the next 9 weeks, including today, to get you all of those extra tokens that you need. So tune in to my Twitch stream from 2 o'clock UK time, that's 3 o'clock Central European Summer Time, to get yourself the tokens to be able to get some juicy rewards. And with that said and done, I'm really looking forward to seeing you all live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby to give a load more tanks and cool rewards. And also, I'd like to just say a massive thank you to Wargaming for making this possible via Twitch streams. Every couple of months, I literally get to give away probably tens of thousands of tier 5 premium tanks. It's a really cool feature, and I'm honored to grind on Twitch to enable the process. And let me know in the comments down below which of these rewards you are going to choose. Personally, on my main account, I'm going to get the 5 times experience games as quickly as possible so I can accelerate my progress through the new British wheeled mediums. On my free-to-play account, it's going to be a toss-up between the RAM and the M485. Come and let me know what you think I should pick. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing you all live right now. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.